Alright, how's it going, book nerds? Thomas here with Read, Review, Recommend, and today we are going to be reviewing Beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles, Book 3, The Wyrm King. And this was the conclusion to the trilogy, conclusion to the Spiderwick series in totality. This was the end of it. So I am going to go ahead and review this one separate, and then I'm going to go ahead sometime within the week, I'm going to go ahead and review all of them. So be looking for that one. But to get started with this one, the plot on this book was how can we reverse what we've already done, because they sent all the giants away, and now they realize they need the giants in order to fight the big bad, or else everything is done. The giants were bad. The Wyrm King, the dragons, way worse. So they find out through this one that they're fighting a Hydra. They find out a way to outsmart, overpower the Hydra. This book takes place with almost every character we've met so far. You have Jared, you have Simon, you have Mallory, you have Lori, you have Jules, you have Sydney, you have Nick, you have the parents. I mean, you have Jack Jr., you have all the people that you've met so far are right here in this final plot. And it is put together so well. They end it so well. The plot on this one, we're going with the 9 out of 10. Going right into the opening. The opening on this one, they pull at your heartstrings. You know, they have the Vargas family going into counseling. So they're there to see the therapist. Nick is still upset. Everything's kind of fumbling and he's starting to blunder. And then he more or less says that he doesn't want them to live there. And that really hurts Lori. Her mom and Nick's dad decide that they're going to separate for a couple weeks and just kind of see how things go. And that is where we start out this journey. It is pulling at your heartstrings right away, but you know how big and bad the world is kind of falling apart right now. You get a sense of what's already coming. It was a hell of an opening. I mean, like I said, it pulls at your heartstrings. You get the therapist in there. They're all kind of arguing, but kind of trying to talk it out. And Nick's just, I'm done with this. I don't like this. This is taking up my space. You're taking up my room. And he was just really upset. And almost immediately whenever they leave there, he feels it. And he feels guilty almost throughout this whole entire book. He's trying to make amends with Lori, that's saying, hey, like, I was mad, I was frustrated, but, like, I don't hate you. I don't hate your mom. So it was a extremely good opening. And the world building on this one, honestly, they didn't do much world building on this one because they had kind of already set up everything leading up to this book. The only world building that we really get in this one is kind of seeing the interactions between how some fairies don't know other fairies, and how even though the mermaids don't want the giants to be in the water, now that they're in the water, the mermaids are there to protect them. So it did tighten up the world building a little bit. You didn't get really anything new, but it tightened it up. It tightened it up and made a little bit make more sense, and you got to kind of see how fairies intermingle with each other instead of just with our characters. So that part I did really like. I really liked that they tightened everything up for the world building. But like I said, they didn't really add anything on this one, so we are going to give it an 8 out of 10. The pacing on this one was just, honestly, out of all of the books, this one was top tier. They really knew how to fit as much as they could with the pages that they had, and they did an extremely good job. Every chapter is important. Every chapter feels needed. It feels like you learn something, you grow from each chapter, or you're solving a problem each chapter. Like literally every chapter feels like it has a good purpose, it's meant to be there, and it really leads the story forward or tightens up the story. So the pacing, you know, they do incredible jobs pacing. Every time they do. They really do. They do such a fantastic job when it comes to pacing. It's hard to say that other books in the age range that they're shooting for couldn't learn something by reading these books and how they paced them, because the pacing on these are fantastic. Just fantastic. They know how to get the right amount of information, the right amount of character growth, the right amount of action and resolution in each book, from the start to the very first Spiderwick Chronicles Book 1, the Field Guide, all the way to beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles Book 3, the Wyrm King. Their pacing has been phenomenal. The characters in this one, like I said, probably the best part about this one is that you get every character that you've seen so far. Not only do you get all of the characters that you've seen so far, they all have their little moments in this. Jules has a giant moment, and then at the end, it's left with just Nick and Lori, the two that we started this trilogy out with. And those two are there when everybody else has fought their fight and is out and can't fight anymore. Those two are there to end it, finish the day, and save everyone. And it was such a good growth for each character. And then to finally see them all interact and how dynamic they can be together. And it just stayed true to who each character was. Like, they didn't do things that you wouldn't expect them to do. It just heightened how much you expected of them. And they really stepped up, got everything done. And like I said, even as the characters slowly start trickling out, so it is left with just Nick and Lori, they all trickle out with such a good ending. Such a good, like, we did our part, now it's up to you. And it was really what I was hoping for. I know I had said in the last book that it really felt like a preview and a setup for this book, and I 100% still think that. And they paid it off masterfully, and the characters were one of the ways that they paid it off masterfully. So we'll give the characters a 10 out of 10. And then the writing. You know, with the writing kind of being a sum up of everything else that's on here, it's very hard for me not to give the writing a 9 out of 10. But yes, I do understand. It still isn't a Tolkien. They still didn't create, you know, such a world that it extends to religions and languages and everything like that. You know, it's not the best written thing ever. But their target audience, what they were aiming for, and what they put together, it was incredibly written. And if complexity is the only thing to you that judges whether it is good writing or not, I would take a step back and just understand that there's a large group of people that read, and in that group, the range of ages is incredible. Everything from 3-year-olds to people in their hundreds are reading books. So just remember, there's a lot of different writing styles. I'm telling you, this was very well written. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And the power system. I have almost always given this power system not the greatest, but they did the one thing in this one that I've kind of been looking for. And they establish and say it outright that the sight is the power. That is the magic. It allows you to interact with the magic. And in everything else, they were kind of showing like, okay, now this is how you get be part of the magic. And in this one, they show like, imagine if you didn't have this sight all these years, how different the world would be. And that little paragraph that they had explaining said person and how long they've had the sight And then they talk even about Arthur and how he didn't use it correctly and it kind of damaged his family. They bring it very much more into light that this is a magic in itself. This isn't just a way to be part of the magic. This is the magic. I loved how they did that. This is the first time that I'm going to give the magic a 9 out of 10 because I think they finally nailed it. I really do. It's one of the few things that I complained about is the magic system, but I think it was very well done how they explained it in this one, and I wish they would have had that explanation in the first book, but you can't go back in time, and that is what that is. The ending of this one, the tie-up, the wrap-up, the getting everybody safe, everybody's there, even the little friends that they've made along the way are all safe. You know, everybody has a happy ending. Even the giant comes and is just like, hey, I see you. And they look at the giant through the hospital window and they're like, yo, we see you too. And it was a very, very well done little part that they added in there, putting the giant in. There's quite a few other things that are at the ending that I feel like would be over spoilery, but the ending is very well done. It is very, very tight. The last 2-3 chapters are very tight. They take you on this roller coaster ride all the way down, and then they stop and they go ahead and finish everything off so that you get your emotional tie-ins and everything. Well done, honestly. Let's give them a golf clap for this one. It was well-deserved. The golf clap is well-deserved. The whole entire series, this book, this trilogy in specific, they nailed it. They took everything they learned from the first series, they incorporated it into this trilogy, and the ending was everything that I would have expected. So the ending, I'm giving a 10 out of 10. So, for the all in all, my opinion, the ranking on Beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles, Book 3, The Wyrm King, I'm sure you guys can guess it. We are giving this a 9 out of 10, and this is an incredible series. Please go buy this. Please read this to your kids. Please, please, please introduce them to this fantasy world and fantasy in general and just reading. Even if fantasy isn't your thing, there's so many different categories out there, so many different genres that you can read. There's just so much knowledge out there and so much candy for your brain. This is one that I think has to be in schools, though. It has to be in schools. It has to be out there for kids to read, for kids to jump into this fantasy world, take a start, take a jab at fantasy in general, maybe even reading in general. I will always recommend this book. I am almost sad and beyond happy that I am done and finished with this series and I know the full story. It's sad that there's not any more, but I'm so happy that I got to know the story for what it was. So, thank you for joining me, guys. It has been an incredible time reviewing this with you. I've been Thomas with Read, Review, Recommend. Y'all keep reading and have a good one. Later.